This is Feature Minor. So some of you might be questioning if the Bible was manipulated or if maybe you can just believe in God in general, where you might want to be like, okay, I'm not an atheist, so I definitely believe that there's a creator. But I don't know if I can trust the Bible for sure because did mankind have anything to do with maybe manipulating it? I mean, we know they removed the divine name of Yahuwah out of the Bible. The Tetragrammaton, the name of God was replaced with the Lord. So also there's some questionable things about slavery in the Bible that some might find disturbing. So people want to know basically, should they trust the Bible or would they feel more comfortable just believing in God in general maybe? So this video might help you out a little bit. Now, this has to do with some experiences that many people have actually experienced sleep paralysis. So I'm going to get into my experience with that because I've had several sleep paralysis moments. I've had even more disturbing moments as well. I mentioned in my last video about the mirror game as a kid that I observed where this game was played where you say this name into the mirror and you're supposed to see something. So you turn off all the lights and you say this name and you're supposed to end up seeing some type of entity come out of the mirror. And I've observed that and saw, I didn't stick around very long because I got out of there, but it looked like I had saw something. It was a ghostly figure. It was something forming. It was like a face forming. And I go into detail about that in my previous video about mirrors where I go into great detail. So I'll leave a link for that in the comment section and description box if you haven't checked that out yet. Because that's in type of encounter that will make you feel like, okay, so there's something to this world where there seems to be some entities down here with us where, things can get pretty disturbing. So also with my experience where we had to move out of a house before because there seemed to be some activity in that home. And this was like a place where we had just moved into. And so I was in the basement. We had just moved our stuff in. And my parents and my sister had left. They all had to go somewhere. I said I didn't want to go. I was going to stay home and listen to my music, maybe get on the phone and maybe, look at my comics and stuff. I was a kid. So I stayed home, and as I was on the phone and listening to my music and stuff and read my comic books, I heard everybody come back home. So it was like a crowd of people that came back home. I was like, okay, my parents are home. I was like on the phone at the time. I said, hold up, I'm gonna go upstairs and see if everybody's home because I just heard the door close and a bunch of people walk up the stairs. I don't know if they were walking up the stairs or down the stairs, but I heard a bunch of people come in. It was undeniable. So I went and checked, and when I went, nobody was there. There was nobody home. The door was closed, and I went upstairs even further. Nobody was up there. So at that moment, I'm like, wait a minute. I just heard a whole crowd of people come in. Like, you could hear, you could definitely hear that somebody came home, but nobody was there. So this creeped me out, and it was very disturbing. And then, so my mom had an experience in that house too. So we only ended up being there like 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 tops before we moved. They had to break the lease somehow and get out of that house because even my mom had experienced something where she heard a crowd of people downstairs talking and stuff like that. So this disturbed her. She heard distinct voices and people talking. So there was something going on with that house, and she wasn't the only one who experienced that because we had people help us move. So we had other family there as well, and they experienced the same thing. And they said there was one deep voice down there. There's also other voices. So there seemed to be a crowd of entities in that home. Many. It wasn't just one entity. It was several entities in that home, it felt like. And when I went down in the basement, because everybody decided to stay upstairs at my parents' master bedroom that night because we didn't feel comfortable downstairs. But I had to go downstairs to grab something because I already had stuff down there. So when I went down there to grab something from the basement area where my room was and my sister's room, I felt something down there. You could feel it. It didn't feel good. It was very disturbing feeling, and as something was alerting me down there to like be careful, basically. And it didn't feel good. The feeling didn't feel like it was safe. Like it felt like something was down there and didn't want me down there. So something seemed to be kicking us out of that basement. Like I said, my mom heard a crowd of people down there. I had that experience. Something was trying to scare me out of that basement. So there was something going on there. And so as my mom talked to the landlord the next day, and dad, they talked to my landlord, well, the landlord, and it turns out that place was like some type of retirement home, it sounded like. So there must have been some people that passed away in that home probably. And I guess it was some type of home. Maybe it was a home that for the disturbed people. Who knows? Who knows what was practiced in that home? Something might have been practiced there where that home was, it felt like it was targeted by the spiritual world. It might have been built on maybe a cemetery, who knows? But there was definitely some evidence of activity in that home. So I don't know if any of you out there have experienced something where you experienced some activity, but that was one of my experiences where we actually had to move out of there. And then when I went out the house, you could kind of feel like someone was in the windows, so the house did not feel right. And we actually moved. So we were only there like 2 or 3 days, like I said. So another experience was when, like I said, the sleep paralysis. I was asleep. I was home alone. I heard something come up the stairs. This time I didn't hear a door slam, but something come up the stairs, and then it might have even opened the door. I'm not sure, but the door, something came into the room. And it's not that I could see something. It's just that you heard it come up the stairs and you felt something coming in the room, and I couldn't move. So once again, like, what is this to where these entities can walk upstairs? Like, if these are spiritual beings, like, so why do they need to use stairs and stuff? I guess maybe there's something to this, a clue to be discovered, because it seems like these entities, while they're being invisible, you wouldn't think they would need to even use stairs. So does that mean there's an invisible realm, or maybe we're hearing something from maybe another dimension or something? But it seemed pretty demonic. I mean, or it's just something that we don't understand. But these are the type of experiences that makes you feel like, okay, so the Bible was warning us about the fallen ones and stuff like that. So if there's no other explanation, I mean, you would think that this stuff doesn't feel right. Like something feels off with these activities. And, even with possession and stuff, I've never experienced nothing like that. But, this type of stuff proves like, okay, so the Bible's warning us about stuff like this. The Bible is warning us about possession and activity like this. So, yeah, with the sleep paralysis thing, a lot of people experience that, and I couldn't move, and I tried my best to move. I tried to even shout out the divine name of Yahushua. You can say Jesus if you want to. I forgot which one I used, but the Father's name is Yahuwah. So, you call for help, and it was like you couldn't even get the words together. It seemed like it was like something that was kind of stopping you from even moving or even speaking or thinking. It felt like it was like you're frozen in time or something. It felt like I was frozen in time. I just couldn't get out no words. I just fight to get the words out of Jesus and the Messiah, and Yahushua, I think I was looking for that word, or I forget exactly what word I was looking for, but I heard it doesn't really matter. I heard you can say either Jesus or Yahushua or even Yahuwah. I mean, you can call out for help, and it's supposed to help regardless of what language you're using for those words. But I personally prefer to say Yahushua if I'm calling out for help, because that's, from what my understanding is, the closest We are to having the original name of Yahushua, because English wasn't even around yet, so they have us saying Jesus. But like I said, this is a whole nother discussion. I get into that in my other videos as well, where we cover this, where the names of the divine ones, for when you call out for help, do you use English or do you try to learn the Hebrew pronunciations as best as possible? So anyways, like I said, I'm hearing that your intent matters. It feels like your intent matters. Like if you're calling out for Jesus, I don't think it's like, well, actually it's not pronounced Jesus. I don't think it works like that, because I've been hearing that people have had success calling out for help using the English variation of his name. So anyways, though, that's the point, though, is where the Bible seems to be warning us about stuff like this. Now, is there any other explanation for what these experiences may be? Maybe, but it really felt like it was some encounters with the spiritual world. And so with sleep paralysis, a lot of people have experienced that. And even when you look at like insane places, and I discussed in my last video about with people that seem to change, their behavior changes and they're never the same again. What's going on with them? Did they open themselves up to something? And even possessed people, I saw somebody on the street before acting like they were possessed, and they were moving crazy, and they just couldn't stop. It was like something else was animating their body. And even with the word seizure, that sounds kind of like you're being seized, like it's like you're spiritually being seized, it feels like. So with insane people and people talking to invisible people, what is this stuff? What is going on with these people that can I've seen it, and I might go to McDonald's to get some coffee in the morning and see, I saw someone there, because when I'm at work I might get some coffee and there's somebody there that is always there, and I thought he was normal, but then one day I walked in there and he's talking to an invisible person and having a full conversation with somebody that I can't even see. And I've seen this several times with people. Usually these people seem like they're kind of on the streets and stuff. For the most part, it's like they can't get their life together anymore. And who are they talking to? Themselves, or are they talking to a spiritual entity? So this is very disturbing stuff, and I've observed pretty much everything that I've talked about in this video. So I've either observed it or experienced it. So I've went over my experiences, my firsthand experiences, then with my observations, and I've seen a lot of strange stuff like that I've covered in this video, and I've seen it firsthand. I know most of you out there have probably seen someone talking to an invisible person. What is going on with that? So that doesn't sound like a very, to me, it just seems like, okay, so there definitely seems to be something to the Bible. I mean, what other conclusion can you come to? Like I said, if you want to say these invisible things going up the stairs are somehow maybe, some type of portal or a different dimension of beings that we might be tapping into, or, maybe you can say that this plane has a lot of existences all at once, maybe sharing the same space, and maybe sometimes we can hear what's going on in another dimension. Like if you have a radio, you can turn to a different station, so maybe there's another station where there's a whole nother reality going on right here on this earth with us. Maybe that could explain the stairs, with these beings going up and down the stairs. Maybe sometimes the veil is thin, perhaps, where you might be able to kind of hear what's going on in another world. And when you hear something walking around upstairs, like I've experienced that too. Like, what's going on with that? Why are these things that are supposed to be invisible actually sound like they're physical beings walking around? Is it actual beings that you can't see? Can they see us? Are these beings that can somehow see us, but they're invisible? And can they walk through doors? Maybe there's some beings that are invisible walking around. So that sounds like the fallen ones to me. And then with the proof of the Nephilims and the giants, evidence of giants, all this stuff would prove that the Bible was warning us about this stuff. So when it comes down to it, that's a lot to think about. And, you know, with, like I said, the main thing is with the people that are possessed, you know, and at that point, it looks like once you get to the point where you're possessed or having seizures or something, is that connected to anything? But really with the possessed people, I've heard that, you know, in my opinion, when it gets that far, you're almost lost at that point, because at that point, there's no real guarantee anything can expel that out of you. It's like I've seen the true story of Emily Rose, where it sounds like she didn't really win that battle. They tried to exorcise it out of her, but it seemed like at that point she was just kind of taken over, and I don't think she survived. Emily Rose. Some of you might know that story. There's a movie about it as well. And one time I was watching the movie and the TV broke, and weird stuff had happened. There was other movies I was watching where they were messing with the Ouija board in the movie, and then there was a very disturbing incident that night. The alarm went off in the middle of the night. So yeah, with all these experiences and observations, it just seems like, yeah, there's definitely something going on with this world. And it sounds like the Bible was really warning us that, you know, it's not just, you know, if you want to believe, okay, well, at least you believe in God and at least you believe in the Creator, or do you say, okay, the Bible was actually warning us about stuff like this? So look, I just wanted to rant about this, you know, these experiences, because I would like to see what you guys think about all this stuff, because it just felt like this is something that we had to talk about. And if any of you had any experiences like this with the supernatural, or living in haunted homes or anything like that, or seeing crazy people talking to invisible people or anything like that, what does that tell you about the Bible? What do you think of all this stuff? So yeah, I just wanted to cover this with you today, and thanks for taking your time to check out this video. Like I said, I'm gonna leave some links for you if you want to catch up on my other videos. I'm also gonna leave links to my other channels, my social media, my Feed Your Mind store, my free email newsletters, and much more. If you would like to support this channel, please donate as little as $1 to help keep this channel online. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. All links are in the comment section and description box. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.